is Cindy Lou Altman. I am 53 years old. I have been diagnosed with retinitis pigmentosa, or RP for short, for over 25 years now.
Oh, wow.
I did not receive my first guide dog until 2015.
Okay. All right. And so for retinitis pigmentosa, what would you say that is exactly?
That is a genetic disease, eye disease, that my photoreceptors are actually dying off.
Oh, okay.
You have two types of photoreceptors. You have the rods and the cones.
Mm-hmm.
The rods, they see detail vision as well as night vision.
Okay.
And the cones see, I think exactly what they do. I know they work with color differential.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm starting to have a little bit of problems with my color.
Okay.
The rods are the cones are the first to die off, I think. I'd have to look that up, but yeah. But yes, colors, blues and greens look the same to me. Sometimes a blue looks like a green and whatnot. Purple and black sometimes look the same.
Oh.
Pink and tan mimic each other.
Wow.
And sometimes yellow and white.
Mm-hmm.
And I do have a problem with contrast. So if I go from outside bright sunny day to inside a building, it's a little bit dimmer. It takes my eyes a little bit more time to adjust.
Okay.
And because I have cataracts, which is part of my eye disease, the sun glare, it's almost like putting a flashlight in your eye. It's hard to see contrast.
Okay.
And I have not been able to read print for a few years now. I read in a reverse polarity, which means I read on my iPad, I read the black background with the white or the yellow writing.
Oh, okay.
So everything's reversed, so it's not glary.
Okay.
And so that's a little bit about it.
Yeah, wow, that's a lot of information. I did do some background research into it, and it's definitely pretty much what you said, but you've given me a lot of more details about it. So thank you.
No problem. And even with snow, you would think you wouldn't have a problem, but I don't see contrast. So if I'm walking in a field of snow, I can't tell if it's a mound or if it's a dip in the snow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that must be very hard to...
Yes.
Try to snow then.
Yes.
Okay. So then, I guess you've had this visual condition for about 25 years?
I've been diagnosed for 25 years. I started to have some issues when I was 21.
Okay.
I was in a car accident, and they said it was due to double whiplash. I was seeing sparks in my eyes. And if you rub your eyes when you wake up and you get all those little focal flashes that are there, I see them all the time. That is the brain sending the electronic signal to my brain, which goes to the photoreceptors that are dying off, so I just see them. Then I was having problems going from a light outside to dim inside, and after I'm having problems with night vision as well, so that's part of the eye disease. And we were married, my husband and I were married, we were 28 years old, and I went to his insurance, and within a few months of being married, I was diagnosed, and all I remember them saying, could go blind, may go blind, you should not drive.
Okay.
So I gave up driving at age 28.
Wow. So,
and I gave my husband a chance to, I said, you married me for better or for worse, but not for blindness and visual impairment. And he said, nope, I'm going to stick with you.
Oh, now that's a real one.
Oh, yes, he's a keeper.
Okay. So would you say you can still kind of see, but it's been like much more difficult?
With my eye disease, my type of gene of the RP, I lost a lot of my vision pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And then it's been pretty stable with some little tiny pockets that I lost, but I see about 8 degrees. If you look through a paper towel tube,
yeah,
that's all I see.
Oh,
but
okay.
I've been able to, I've been blind for so long that I adjusted so much that I scan a lot. My eyes scan a lot, and I don't realize I'm doing it. And I fill in the dots. I fill in the gaps by just your mind remembers what's there.
Yeah.
But yes, when I talk to people, I can make eye contact, and I do my hair and makeup, and people look at me and they think that when I have Jada with me, they think I'm training her. I'm like, no, she's my guide dog. She's my eyes. And and then they look at the dog and they're like, because you can't tell that I'm blind and visually impaired. Some people, they can't make eye contact. They don't see very well, so they try to hone in on your voice to where you're at to face you.
Yeah. Okay.
There's many, many different variations of blindness and visual impairment.
Okay. And then, so, I guess, wow, so people, I guess, have a hard time realizing that you are visually impaired?
Yes.
Oh.
I always get, they say, oh, are you training your guide dog? I said, no, she's my eyes,
Yeah.
She helps me. She helps guide me. And they look at me and they're like, oh, but you don't look. And they stop. It's like, okay, yes, I don't look blind. What does blindness and visual impairment look like? You can't see it, so you don't see through my eyes. So I understand it's hard to understand this type of eye disease.
But definitely visual impairment and blindness call all in different forms.
I say I'm a high-low. Yeah. I have a high amount of low vision.
Wow, that's definitely an interesting combination of words, but a great way to describe it.
Yep. I don't walk in the world of sighted, and I don't really walk in the world of the visual impairment because I'm in that middle area. When I went up to school for guiding eyes for the blind to get my guide dog, I would go into the cafeteria of the room with everybody, and I was the one to be like, anybody want water, juice? But then, then I would knock my water over. It's like, whoops, didn't see it there. I used to have to look, when I was before I was diagnosed, I used to have to look down to walk down the steps.
Oh, okay.
And my husband asked me, boyfriend, he asked me, why are you doing that? I said, well, I have to look down the steps to find them. I said, don't you do that? And he says, no. I thought that's how you do it.
Wow.
But nope.
No.
That was just, I couldn't see down. I don't see up or down or left or right.
Okay.
It's just the central vision.
Just that central vision.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's actually the sister eye disease of macular degeneration.
Oh.
Macular, they lose their central vision and they only have the peripheral. And my husband's aunt had MD, and I said to her, well, between her and I, we can drive a car down the street. She'd be my peripheral and I'd be her central.
Oh, yeah. That's definitely would be the power pair.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was given some lemons, and I decided to put a little fun with it with a little sugar, and my husband's my water, and we make sweet lemonade.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, and that's interesting with macular degeneration, since I work at Pearl Vision, and my manager, she has macular degeneration, and she always talks about how, I think it was you said the peripheral vision they only see. but not the central. That's very interesting that retinitis pigmentosa is kind of like that sister disease.
It's the opposite. And there's a lot of baby boomers that have, there's a lot of baby boomers coming of age, and there's a lot of MD out there compared to RP. And RP, it's a slow, steady onset, and it normally hits you between the ages of 25 to 40, and I started problems at 21. So, but I'm very grateful that my type of gene, because I was tested, is the type that if you lose a lot and then it stays stable. You lose little pockets here and there, but I protect my eyes at all times.
Okay.
I make sure I wear sunglasses because I don't want to ruin whatever I have left.
Yeah. And I heard it was very rare, and it is a inherited.
Yes, both my parents carry the recessive gene.
I see.
I don't have it. My brother is a carrier of the gene. So is my sister. Her 2 kids have been tested. Okay. So far they don't have any problems. But my mom there was 3 of us, and my mom did have a miscarriage. So if you think of the odds, I just won out. The way the genetics go. But you know what? I met so many nice and interesting people because of my eye disease.
Yeah.
And my husband, he, quote, sees the world differently through my eyes, because when you just sit there and you close your eyes, and on a spring day, you can smell the flowers bloom, the blooming flowers, feel the nice cool breeze. And in the fall, you can hear the leaves falling. It almost sounds like it's spitting out.
Yeah.
Because the way that they fall down, and you smell the leaves, and it's just, everything is just different.
Yeah, and I guess it really helps to appreciate your surroundings in a different way.
Now, the word disability, dis in Latin means to do in another way, or something like that. I think that's what my husband said. And ability is ability to do something. So my disability, it's not a negative. I look at it as because I'm disabled, I do things differently than how normal people do.
Wow, that is
So when I just got done doing a presentation for a Boy Scout troop, and one of the boys asked me, "Well, how do blind people eat?" And I said, "Well, we use the clock method, which I can see my food, but if they have less peripheral or central vision than I do, you use the clock method. You put the food either at 12, 3, 6, or 9.
Oh.
Yes. And I have learned one thing from another friend. He says he uses a piece of bread and his spoon or fork, and he scoops it up the food onto his fork.
Oh.
So that way he feels what's on a plate. Okay. Then another person told me, he says the only way he eats ice cream is in a cup. That way it doesn't fall out of the bowl.
Yeah.
And when we pour liquids, we put our thumb just a little bit into the cup, and then when you pour it and when your thumb gets wet, that's when it's up the top, and we call that thumb juice.
Oh, wow.
We do that for ourselves. You don't do that for coffee. I just love
it. Oh, yeah. Definitely not coffee.
But see, that's a different way of doing things compared to the sighted world. That's an amazing way to see, the word disability. I've never thought about it like that. You'll have to look up what the Latin word for dis actually means. It's, my husband told me and I always forget it. I just know it's a different way, or something to do differently, or something like that. So I can see if I can look it up real quick, because I do have my laptop in front of me. And I still cook. I still do everything that other people do, but like my clothes, when I put them in the my closet, I always try to organize them, all the reds blouses with the red blouses, the wine colors. Right now we're in the fall color, so I try to keep them all together. But then when I go to take them out and put my spring color clothes in, I forget, what color was this blouse again? And I ask my husband, or I use CNAI, but CNAI, the app, doesn't really tell you the colors very well because it depends on the lighting. Yeah. But then there's also Be My Eyes, which is a volunteer. Yes. People volunteer, and that is amazing. I sometimes use that, and I'm like, can you tell me what color this is?
Yeah, that is a very good app, because I was a volunteer. I still am, but I have to re-download the app. But my first call was helping someone choose the right color of their shirt.
Oh, nice. And
so that is very interesting. Like, yeah, it's definitely very, I think
very
it's helpful, I bet.
Yeah, I had to use it one time. My husband went to work, and I was flying up to see my family up in Maine, and I normally travel with him. Yeah. So it was Jade and I decided, okay, I needed to make a copy of my flight information. Well, I couldn't read on our fax machine, fax and copy, that's what we have at home here. Okay. I couldn't read the screen because it was an LED type of screen.
Oh, okay.
And if I put my flashlight with my phone on it, it glares it so you can't see. And if I use my magnifier, I still can't see. It's gray with black writing.
Okay.
So I use CNAI just to make sure I was hitting the right buttons and not scanning it and sending it to somebody.
Yeah, that would definitely be something.
And then one time I was making cookies and I was making a frosting and I wanted to make the frosting look orange, and I couldn't. It was just looking pink. Oh. And I had, and then my eyes, it was pink, and then when I called, they said, yeah, that's a bright pink, and I'm like, oh, well.
Oh.
So much for Halloween cookies. I'm like, well, they're going to be pink. So I tried to put green in it, and it just looked like it was, I don't know.
I forgot what color that would look like.
Yeah, it just looked terrible. I'm like, okay, well, it's a Halloween cookie. I'll call it my creepy cookie.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be a good creepy cookie. It matches with, like, the creepy vibe.
Yeah. And so they look terrible, but they're delicious.
Hey, that's what matters the most. What matters on the inside, you know?
Exactly.
And I did just look up what dis means, and it means, like, apart. Or, like, asunder. So it's, kind of like that, like, different, apart from what's the norm, I guess you could say.
Yes.
But that's, that is very cool. And, I guess that whole story with just, like, how you use those different apps and, navigating through your everyday life. That's very good insight to look into.
The technology now for visual impairment is gotten so much better since I was diagnosed. I use on my laptop. With the app. It's a program called Zoom Text.
Oh, okay.
It's a magnifier reader, so it magnifies everything bigger. And it talks to you, but I always turn to talk. I always disable it because when you type, it doesn't get every letter, and it sounds like I'm misspelling something, so I have to look over it. And then they also have screen readers, which they read everything that's on the screen. I cannot read the internet on my phone. It's too small, and some pages you can't pinch to make it bigger. And I use my iPad for, I shop on Amazon, which is back when I was 28 years old, and the first Christmas after I got diagnosed, I had to ask my neighbor if he could take me Christmas shopping when my husband would go off to grocery shop. So he would go off, grocery shopping, and I'd knock on the door, and I'm like, quick, take me to Home Depot. after a while, the neighbors thought I was having an affair with my neighbor.
Oh.
I'm like, no, I needed to go stocking stuffers shopping, to Rite Aid and stuff like that. But back then, you didn't have Uber, you didn't have Lyft, you didn't have the internet to order stuff online.
Mm-hmm. So you had to go in person a lot.
Yep.
And you needed help.
Sometimes he would drop me off, and I would go do some stocking stuffers. I'm like, okay, I'll call you when I'm done, or I'll meet you out front.
Mm-hmm.
And Jada knows I have my husband targeted. I just have to say, Jada, let's go find Daddy. Let's go find Daddy, and she'll go and find him.
That's so sweet.
And she actually has 25 to 30 places targeted in Wegmans.
Wow.
So if I go from the car, I have to go across the parking lot, across the main, driveway area, whatever.
Yeah.
To the curb, to the door. Instead of all that, I've got her to, all I have to say is, Jada, come on to the deli. And she takes me to the deli. My husband picks up a couple things, and then I go to the next mark. I just call it next mark because sometimes people are in the way. Then I tell her to the bananas. We go get our bananas. Then I go over to the mushrooms to get out of the way because that's always busy.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. I actually had a lady follow me to the coffee because she didn't know where it was located because they just moved everything around the store, but they didn't move the coffee. So I told her to the coffee. I told Jada to the coffee. She went to the coffee, and the lady was following me. She goes, well, thank you. Now I know where the coffee is.
Oh.
But I think she was just checking to see if Jada would take me to the coffee.
Oh.
And she did.
That's great.
Yeah. I told her to the yogurt. We go to the yogurt. To this, I didn't train her. I didn't target to the soup. But we would go to one spot, and then I would go and meet my husband. And he says, I'm going to be in the soup aisle. And he told me what aisle, so I counted down where I was supposed to go. And I said, okay, we got to go find Daddy at the soup. So she went, we found him, and then the next time we went shopping, he says, why don't you meet me at the soup? So we went to and I said to Jada, well, I didn't target it. I said, let's try this. I said, Jada, come on, let's go to the soup. Let's go find the soup. And we went to the soup aisle, and she nailed it because the last time I told her, where's Daddy? Daddy's at the soup. So she put those two together, and I said, okay, you're smart. I said, let's see how smart you are. Did you bring me to the Progresso Healthy, soups? And I looked up, and yes, it was. Well, here, that's exactly where he stops, and that's the brand we always get. So she's very smart, and you can train these guide dogs anything. They love it.
Wow. And so you're the one who sets up the targets?
Yes, the target, the command, the way of doing it is called targeting. The puppy learns touch from an early, before they're, I think when they're about 8 weeks old. And what you do is you put a treat in your hand, and you close your fist, and you say touch. And they put their nose to your hand. So you take that, and you touch the item that you want them to target. So you say touch.
Okay.
And they'll touch it, and then you step them back a little bit further, and then you put your hand there, and you say touch. And when they come, you name that. So if I'm trying to get Jada to go to fizzy water, that's one place we always get. It's the lime fizzy water. I'll tell her to the fizzy water, so I'll go up to it and I'll touch it with my hand, and I'll say touch. And she puts her nose, and when she gets it correct, you say yes, touch. Then you move her back, and then you do it again, and then after the second time, you name it, and you say yes, fizzy water. So then you walk her away again a little bit further, and then you go to the fizzy water. So to means go to that place. And fizzy water is the location. So she'll go right up to it. As soon as she puts her nose to it, you say, yes, fizzy water. She gets her treat. So that's how people who are no vision at all, they can target to bus stops.
Oh, okay.
Or they can target in a building to the elevator button.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. Yeah.
And when we travel, if we stop if we have to go to a hotel, I try to get the trash can. So at 6 a.m. when it's dark now, after she goes potty, you bring the bag, you put it in the trash can. I want her to take me to the trash can instead of me just wandering around in the parking lot.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, especially now, like daylight savings. It's like so dark outside.
Yes, welcome to my world.
Now I'm getting closer to understanding.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's so cool because I've always seen like, guide dogs. And I've always wondered, like, how they were trained. And I bet it's different for each condition sometimes, like, maybe if...
Well, the commands are the same for each schools.
Okay.
Jada's from Guiding Eyes for the Blind, which is up in New York. And CNI is closest. That's in New Jersey.
Okay.
I also was a puppy raiser for Guiding Eyes. I started off 2007 as a class helper for the Baltimore region. Then 2010, I retired for the first time, and I was a puppy raiser.
Okay.
Then I became a puppy sitter, which meant you get the puppies when the puppy raiser goes on vacation. And you keep them on the curriculum, keep them on their training. And then I was a puppy sitter coordinator. Wow. So I was the one who coordinated who would sit with who. Then I received my first guide dog in 2015, and unfortunately, Vanilla was a female yellow lab. She started to stress out. It wasn't fun anymore. So after 13 months of service, we retired her, and I opted for her to go back to her puppy raiser because I was her stressor. I was taking her on the bus. I was taking her to my work. I was taking her on our walks past a noisy construction area at work. And we got home, and normally I would take her right outside after work, and she would play with a ball. She loved playing fetch. Well, we live on a hill, and a motorcycle came down, and it was backfiring. So she stopped playing ball, and that was her favorite thing. So she went back to her puppy raiser. And she did come and visit Jada. I received Jada in May 2016, so I got Jada right away. Yeah. And Vanilla remembered where her toys were, where the peanut butter was located in the cabinet, because she would sit and put her nose to the cabinet. She knew where her favorite pea spot was, and she would play with Jada. So she's now a very happy, loved, forever pet that has very good manners.
That's great.
But then I was a grad council member for Guiding Eyes. And then I was helping doing some surveys for Guiding Eyes where I volunteered by calling a grad to be maybe anywhere from 12 to 18 months after they graduated to see how they are working and how the dog's working.
Okay.
And I helped get the information gathered, and they received a grant from Reader's Digest for their specialized training program.
Wow, that's awesome.
And like I said, Guiding Eyes is the only school that trains guide dogs to be running guides.
Running guides, okay.
So she runs with me, and she has to make quicker decisions because we're running. She's at a faster pace, but we've competed in 4 virtual 5Ks around my area. So the first time I went to go, my husband decided to put a tape across because my husband and I ran 5Ks before. He was my sighted guide, so I would be tethered to him. But I never, ever got a chance to run through the finishing tape. Okay. So he put the tape across, and we're running, and Jada, we got up to the finish line, and she stopped. Because it was at my chest area, or my midsection area, and she's trained to stop at overhead obstacles.
Oh, okay.
So she viewed that as an obstacle, so I just put my hand through it. So the next time we did the 5K, I dropped her handle, the harness handle, and I just ran through it.
Oh.
Because when you drop the handle, she knows she's not on duty.
Okay.
So she's like, okay, well, if you get hurt, it's on you.
Oh my gosh.
But yes, I'm also a visually impaired runner. I'm a blind runner.
Mm-hmm.
And I competed just recently in the Philadelphia distance race, the PDR.
PDR, okay.
And that was I think it was September.
Mm-hmm.
And I did the 5K. I did not do a half marathon. I'm a 5K runner. That's it.
That's still awesome, though. I don't even run, so.
Yeah, I had. Let me see. I've had Jada as my guide, but I also had 4 different sighted guide people be my guides, be my sighted guides for running. So there's some people that do marathons and they're visually impaired. I can't even do more than 5K.
Oh, that's okay. I mean, at least you do a 5K.
Yes. I just did one on Sunday with my sighted guide. That when I run with Jada has to stop every time a car comes.
Yeah.
So I needed somebody to run consistently with me because I would stop, start. So I was training for the race in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And I became friends with my sighted guide, and she wanted to get better to do a 5K, and we were going to do one for North Coventry Police Department, but she got sick.
Oh.
And then it rained, so she wasn't able to train.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, well, how about we do our own virtual 5K, so you know the distance and you can see if you can handle it. So we did one on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And she did really, really good. She walked a couple times, but there's a couple hills around here, and if you don't do hill sprints and train for them, they're hard.
Ooh, yeah, I bet.
Yeah. So she helped me with getting ready for my 5Ks, and I said, look, let's run you. So she was my eyes to get me ready, my coach to get me ready to run consistently.
Okay.
So this time I paid her back by being her coach to get through the 5K.
That's amazing. Well, I think that's very cool that, you can, run a 5K.
But then you add on the extra difficulty of being visually impaired, and you have to be tethered to somebody, and we have to go around people that are runners.
Yeah.
And sometimes runners have their earbuds on and they don't hear us. And, that's the extra difficulty to get around people. Because normally when you're coming up behind somebody, you stay behind and they're supposed to scooch over. But if they can't hear you, they don't scooch over.
Yeah.
So I have to go behind my sighted guide. And then after we pass them, I have to run up next to them. So you kind of run a little bit extra.
Yeah, and it's that, of course, that extra difficulty just makes it even more impressive.
Yeah.
I think
I call it you gotta run. I run a little bit more than a 5K. Zigzag around people.
Yeah. And it's you're dodging obstacles.
Yes. And Jada is trained to do that, to go around obstacles. She's also trained to go around broken cement or the road, because where we live, it's country roads and there's no sidewalks. So when a car comes, I tell her left to the curb, and she stops, but there's no curb, but she knows where the curb is.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. Jada's so smart. She's smart, sassy, and goofy at the same time. Yeah, I was in the emails when I saw your name and Jada. I was like, hey, who is Jada? I
forgot to tell you because I would always delete that. But yes, when you're a guide dog team, people know you by your dog.
Oh.
And my one pet peeve to the public, when they see a guide dog team you never address the dog, you address the person. You don't make, smoochy noises to get the dog's attention. And the blind community and visually impaired community, they don't like to tell people their dog's name because, they'll call the dog out. And if you distract the dog, that's almost like putting your hands in front of a bus driver.
Oh.
Because you're distracting them, they're not being able to work, that person can potentially get hurt.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's funny, when we were up in, when we were doing training up in New York, we were doing elevator training. So we go up to the elevator and we're waiting for it to come, and we have to scooch out of the way so the people come out. Well, a mother and 2 kids came out, and the little boy says, "Oh, Mommy, look at Doggy." And then the little girl says, "Can we pet?" And the mother says, No, honey, you can't pet. That's a service dog. And she's looking at us, and we're nodding our head, yes, it's a service dog. So then they moved out of the way, and I told Jada forward to the elevator. The mother went to put her hand down to pet Jada as we're walking by.
Oh.
And I went,
What?
Because as a puppy raiser, when a dog does something wrong, you say, or no. So I did that to the lady, and she pulled her hand back, and I kind of looked at her like, what are you doing? You just told your kids not to pet her, and you did. So we get in the elevator, and the elevator door shuts, and my trainer turned around, she starts laughing, she goes, you just corrected a parent. And she goes, you gave her an Well, she went to pet Jada after we got done saying, no, you can't pet a service dog. And don't try to sneak in a pet.
Yeah.
To try to pet a guide dog, because we know.
Yeah.
We can feel the body movement. I can tell you when Jada's tail's wagging, even if I have my eyes closed. You can tell by the body movement.
I bet. Yeah, that's interesting. That's crazy. Like, she went to pet the dog after she told her own kids not to pet the dog.
I've had people at a grocery store. I'm waiting for my husband, and Jada's in a heel. She's in a position sitting next to me on my left. A lady went across from me and wanted to pet Jada. I said, excuse me.
Ooh.
And she looked at me, and I said, she's working right now. She's my service dog. And she goes, oh, that's okay. I love dogs. And I'm thinking, first of all, you never pet a dog you don't know.
Yeah.
And 2, I just got done telling she's a service dog. So I just walked. I said, Jada, come on, let's go. And I said, oh, let's go find Daddy. And the lady got mad at me.
Oh,
I'm like,
gosh.
sorry.
Yeah, no. It's like, yeah. It's funny, the response, like...
Yeah, I get all the different extremes. I had a guy block an aisle in the grocery store, and he says, oh, it must be nice to have your pet with you. And I said, excuse me, this is my service dog.
Yeah.
But he goes, oh, it must be nice. And I said, my dog is indicating that you're blocking the aisle. Can we get past? And he says, I wish I could take my dog with me everywhere. And I at that point, I just turned around and walked away. Yeah, there was no way of reasoning with him.
Yeah, that sounds like one of the most annoying interactions, I bet.
I've had another one where we went to a friend of ours, her 50th birthday party, and she knows Jada personally. She's been around us since I got Jada, and she had a friend had to ask her, can you please tell your friend with the guide dog not to bring the guide dog because my husband is allergic to dogs. Well, I felt sad for my friend that she had to ask me that. And I said, you know what? Whatever will keep everybody happy, that's fine. But I can't take a pill to be sighted. A person that's allergic, now I can understand there is some people that are extremely allergic, but there's some people that just don't want the dog hair. And if you're allergic to a dog, I have dog hair on me. That's part of my attire now that I have a guide dog.
Yeah.
You you're wearing the dog no matter what. So, even if they say that they're allergic, that's one of my pet peeves. It's like, well, you can take a pill for that. I can't.
Yeah.
Or people who have anxiety. There's some people that, okay, yes, a ESA, emotionally support dog, I can understand people haven't had that, but there is medication for anxiety and problems like that. And I've got, somebody told me, we were at a department store, and I went to go check out. I bought a blouse.
Yeah.
And a lady was there with her little daughter, and the daughter screamed and ran away.
Oh.
And the mother looked at me. She threw this stuff on the floor, and she says, my daughter's afraid of dogs, and you scared her off.
Oh, my goodness.
And I'm like, what just happened?
Oh, jeez.
So, okay, I'm sorry that little girl's afraid of dogs, but...
That's like your service dog.
Yes, it's like, what could I have done differently?
Yeah.
And I can't think of anything I could have done differently, other than if she was scared, I can say, she's friendly, it's okay. You don't have to be scared of her.
Yeah. Yeah. In those moments, it's so hard to know what to do. I wouldn't.
Yes.
I wouldn't know.
And the difference between an ESA, emotional support animal, compared to a guide dog or a CNI dog, under ADA law, American Disability Act, guide dogs and CNI dogs, because they're interactable names, they are allowed everywhere other than certain churches because of the religion, and they're not allowed in operating rooms, which makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah. If you go into someone's residence, it's etiquette to ask.
Yeah.
ESA dogs do not have that same right. They are not allowed in stores. They're not allowed to go if they go in a plane. Now it's getting harder to have a fake ESA dog. My brother has a fake ESA dog. He claims that he treated this dog, he said that his doctor gave him the paperwork to state that it was trained to be an ESA dog. And no, it's just my brother dresses him up and takes him everywhere. Well, he has little jerseys. He's got jackets. It's a little dog.
Oh. Okay. Well, that's it. That's interesting, I guess. I never knew about fake ESA dogs.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We were on a flight somewhere, and it was Jada and I and my husband. My husband was already out. We had the bulkhead. It was Southwest, and my husband gets the luggage out, then he waits for me to come off the plane, and I couldn't get, that was when Jada had the traditional harness, which is the leather and metal. She now has a different harness because she's a running guide. So I'm trying to get her harness on, because when she flies, the harness comes off, because it's uncomfortable to lay in.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be stored in the overhead. That's what we're supposed to do. I don't know why, but well, this gentleman had a pug, and it was supposedly his ESA dog.
Yeah.
Well, Jada, I'm trying to put her harness on, and his dog was all up in her business behind her.
Oh.
And I was having problems because I couldn't get Jada's head to stay straight.
Yeah.
She kept turning around to look. And the guy's like, well, come on, lady. And I said, well, get your fake dog out of my dog's business.
Oh, my goodness.
I was so upset at that point, and I felt like, okay, everyone's looking at me. I have to keep my cool, keep my calm, but I couldn't, because the dog would,
yeah.
No.
Yeah, no.
It's like, poor Jada. Jada's like, get out of my business. Get out of my naughty business.
Oh, goodness. Yeah. Oh, jeez. Well, glad that's passed. Yes. I mean, with the airports and the different airlines, they actually require a certain paperwork before you fly, and it's a good way to weed out all the fake ESA dogs. Yeah.
And the other problem that visually impaired people have with guide dogs is Uber and Lyft are now denying people to who have guide dogs.
Oh, wow.
Or they say that the person wasn't there, where they pull up and they see a person with a dog and they're like, nah, I don't want to clean up the hair. Or they try to charge an extra fee for cleaning up the hair.
Mm-hmm.
They can't do that.
Wow.
And Airbnb, we will never stay at an Airbnb.
Mm-hmm.
We stay at VRBO if we go somewhere, because under VRBO's contract, if they say no pets allowed, if it's a service dog, it's allowed.
Okay.
Because per their agreement, they allow it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's good. That's interesting. I never knew Uber would deny people with service dogs.
Oh, yes. Right now, there's a huge fight with them and the Department of Transportation. There's a lot of people that are trying to step up and be a voice, so they can't do that anymore.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I hope things will get resolved.
I hope so too. And once they get with those the atomic or whatever the cars that drive themselves, oh, I can't wait for that.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think the Teslas kind of have that.
Yes.
that would be a fun time.
Oh, I would love to drive. When I was a kid, because my mom, I'm a lot older than you, we would get in the car, and my mom would we want to put the windows down until the hot air goes out. My mom's like, no, we have the air conditioner on. No, you can't do that. So when I got my first car, I called my mom and I said, hey, Mom, well, I had to wait till I got home to call because I didn't have a cell phone back then.
Oh, yeah.
And I said to her, Mom, guess what I did today? She goes, what? I said, I drove my car with the windows down and my the sun roof open with the air conditioner blaring. She goes, no, you don't do that. I said, it's my car and I did it. But yes, at age 28, I had to give up driving.
Yeah. Well, I hope the age of those cars comes soon then.
But in the meantime, I have my Jada, and I call her my wings, because my first guide dog, when she went back, and I had to go back to using my weight cane, which I hated, because the weight cane, it only sweeps the area in front of you. It doesn't tell you that if your husband walks away from you and you're just standing there talking, he's not there.
Okay.
Or if you come up to an obstacle, the cane doesn't think for itself to get you around it. You have to figure it out. So after I lost Vanilla, I had to use my cane, or I had to hold on to my husband's elbow again. And I was thinking to myself, I'm grounded. I'm latched back to him, which I love him. I love him dearly, but I lost my independence.
Yeah.
So when I got Jada, I got my wings back, and she is my wings. Because now you just see us flying down the sidewalk. I always have a smile on my face. Her tail's always wagging. She's always happy. She loves to work.
Aww.
And we've been on many vacations, many I call them adventures. We've been everywhere from Maine to Aruba. She's been on planes, trains, of course, automobiles, and boats. She went snorkeling with me in Aruba.
Whoa.
And we're going on a week-long river cruise down to Colombia on a paddle boat. One of those old-fashioned paddle boats.
That sounds so fun.
Yep.
Well, that sounds so exciting. I can't wait for you to go on your trip. This will be the first time out the West Coast, even though, she's been to Aruba. I mean, it's kind of over that way. Or maybe, no, that's east, sorry. But yeah, she'll be able to swim in the Atlantic and the Pacific.
I'm going to definitely get her feet wet. First, we're going to San Diego for a couple days. My husband has a conference out there. Yeah. Then we're going to Portland, Oregon. And then we're going to do the paddle boat ride of river cruise for a week. Then on our way home, we're going to do a layover in Vegas.
Oh.
So that way I can get a picture of Jada in front of the Bellagio fountains.
Oh, that's
and
amazing.
so we can say that she's been to Vegas.
And you got a picture to prove it.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, that's adorable.
Right now, my new guide dog has yet to be born, or will be born soon, because you think it's a 2-year wait, and it takes, once they pass their testing, testing's any time between 15 months to 18 months. Okay. Then they go through 4 to 6 months of training, and then they have to be paired with a person by their walking pace. If they need a city sound dog or a country dog, a city sound dog is somebody who can navigate around congested streets and sidewalks and stuff like that, and have the confidence to do that. Okay. Country dogs are dogs that aren't around or exposed to as much, like buses or escalators. I can never say it.
Escalators?
Escalators, yes. Jada's a pro at it. Especially when I'm traveling, I have her and my luggage rolling behind me. We go through that no problem.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it just, my next dog hasn't been, if it hasn't been born yet, it's going to be born soon. So I keep touch with all the puppy raisers because one of them is going to be my puppy. It's going to be my next dog. So, awesome. And my husband will have Jada as his pet.
Oh, so Jada will still be around.
Oh yeah, she's not going anywhere. She's in my heart. Well, Vanilla was my first dog, and she actually taught me it was okay to be blind. It was okay to ask for help. But I never ever used that cane because I hated my cane because people didn't know I was blind because we would fake it. I would always be able to fake it. Yeah. And, holding on to my husband's arm, I'm like, oh, they're so in love. No, I just don't see. Oh. he would pull the chair out and put my hand on the chair. That way I know where the back is. Yeah. And people thought that he was just being courteous. I'm like, yes, he is, but he's also helping me. Yeah. So when I bring the cane out, they're like, oh, what's wrong? I'm like, oh, well, years ago, I was diagnosed blind. You just never knew it.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I wanted them to know me as me, not the blind lady. But now it's okay to be blind and visually impaired. And now it's like, now see me go.
That's amazing.
Yep.
Well, I'm so glad that we could end on that note right there because that's very nice.
Well, you take care, and if you need any extra help or any, I'm willing and able to volunteer and help out. Anything to bring more awareness to visual impairment and blindness, I'm more than happy to help.
All right. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
doing this interview with me.